So today we have some new tools to talk about from Roxon and also some exciting news from Roxon that I'll share just a little bit later. But first of all, I did order a couple of new tools and I thought appropriately enough, I would put it in the red, white, and blue July 4th edition of the Roxon Flex Companion. So we'll go ahead and take a look at what they call Alpha Charlie Bravo, the new tools that they've come out with. So for those of you who are not native to the US, which is probably around 50% of this viewing audience, there may be a perception that everyone in the US, like myself, is constantly carrying around rifles and machine guns and all kinds of stuff to their daily jobs. That's not usually the case at all, and there are huge swaths of the US, especially I'm thinking about the cities and federal buildings where a lot of times you are not allowed to handle or carry firearms that are prohibited by a lot of local laws and ordinances. So while yes, there are Western and then there's rural areas where it's very readily available and accepted, for a fair amount of people in the dense populations, a lot of them may not legally handle firearms for a lot of their life. So these tools are cool, but I'm not sure how useful they may be. And what I find really interesting is that Roxon doesn't necessarily go into a detailed idea of what these tools are for. So let's go ahead and let's just choose one at random. So Roxon actually calls this one right here Bravo in the middle. And then they call this small one right here, this is Charlie, and then this is Alpha. So I actually did get these in order, not by chance actually, just by chance. So Roxon will talk about these in their more detailed description as being cleaning tools and tools to dislodge stuck cartridges and so forth. And so there are hooks, cleaning instruments, and then a lot of you perhaps will have a little bit more knowledge than I do about some of these. This one right here, I think, is actually for disassembly of part of the firearm. So someone at Roxon must have gotten a lot of requests about adding this. And so now you can use some of these tools in every single part of the platform, whether it is the Roxon Flex, the Roxon Flex Companion, or the Roxon Flex Companion Mini. So each of these, it's small enough to use it. Now, I did try to put these tools in the Mini, but it essentially filled up almost all the components, and then you almost need a really, I don't know. It just really didn't seem to fit. I needed a smaller implement and it seemed like they took up too many slots. Maybe I'll have to try again a little bit later, but they do fit in here. And then you have a slot for the knife and the pair of scissors. And then pretty much the rest of the implements are taken up. Now, these are all made of pretty much the equivalent to Victorinox, the German steel that Victorinox uses. So Roxon is trying to use better material with all these, so that's pretty cool. And these are some of the latest tools besides the pliers that Roxon has made and added to their lineup. So Roxon is actually adding a lot of tools to their Flex Companion lineup. Now, some of the other tools that I thought would be useful to some people is these brushes. If you're trying to make more of a gun maintenance specific multi-tool, maybe this pick, or even something like this file. So there are so many options out there. Make sure to look on Roxon's website, their webpage, and I will try to leave links for these as well. Before we move on, I want to mention that Roxon has also dropped some new news in an email, and they have talked about their Roxon KS2E. Instead of being in this blackout, they're adding a new color, and it will be white. So it will essentially look like chess pieces. They have a picture you should now see on the screen where it looks actually sort of cool. And then it talks about something about it's not just a new color, it's a new vibe, whatever that means. Probably it is just a new color. Now, also, they talk about a new tool for the Flex system, like we have been talking about. And that picture will be on the screen as well. But I'm not quite sure what this new tool is. It shows it, and maybe it's another gun tool. It looks a little bit like a key to me. I don't know if you can make your own keys now through Roxon. who knows what's going on, but they are adding a new tool as well. So both of those things are coming up, something you can look forward to. Now, not only does Roxon have gun range implements, but also Real Avid releases a lot of multi-tools that are specifically meant for gun care and gun range. So let's go through a list of this. Now, probably my least favorite feature on this is that it does have, or one of my least favorite features, it has this 5mm bit holder, and then you have the other bits right there. Now, what that means essentially is that you cannot get replacement bits for this unless you buy other cheaper multi-tools that have the 5mm bit system. Now, it is possible, well, likely actually, that Decoyu will soon release their adapter for their signal clone, and then a lot of these multi-tools that were not that useful, you can now use with 1/4" bits, so that would be cool. Now, on this side, we've got the hex and Allen drivers right here. We've got a couple Allen drivers, a couple hex drivers as well for taking apart guns, and these will be, or the Torx will be T10 and T15. The Allens will be 3/32 and a 5/32. Then there will be the 420 stainless steel. This is the claw point blade, what they label it as, the claw point blade. And on the end, this tool will be labeled as the pin punch. There will be the Torx T20 here on the end, and then the scope turret tool right here. And this essentially looks like a shotgun choke tool to me. And then they also say, yes, it is a universal choke 2 wrench, but I guess on the end it's for the scope, to adjust your scopes. So this is 18 tools in one. It comes in for about $34, whereas in with the Roxon, those tools we just talked about, these come in, I think, around $6 to $10 per tool. So it does add up a little quickly, but this tool right here is not nearly as useful because with the Roxon, you can definitely change those out. So I do think that platform is a lot more useful. And if you want a specific tool, you can make it and then go back to your normal carry. While this tool may be useful for a lot of people, I do find it a little bit more cheaply made, but I did just want to mention Real Avid does have several options out there, and you might want to check out their website if you're interested in these type of tools, and you might find something that you like.